$180,000. That is the exact average annual salary of a 40-year-old high earner who currently has a true net worth of less than $30,000. And the vast majority of them have no idea that their financial foundation is built on thin ice. Meet Mark. Mark is 40 years old, earns $150,000 a year as a senior corporate manager, and drives a pristine $65,000 luxury SUV. He lives in a beautiful suburban home with a manicured lawn, takes 2 high-end family vacations every single year, and pays all of his bills right on time. By every standard metric our society uses, Mark is thriving. He feels rich. His neighbors think he is rich. He is doing everything he was told a successful professional is supposed to do. But there is a single critical number that Mark has never once calculated in his entire life. His true net worth. When you sit down and subtract Mark's massive mortgage, his high-interest car loan, his remaining student debt, and his revolving credit card balances, Mark's true net worth sits at exactly $12,000. Think about what that actually means. If Mark were to lose his job tomorrow morning, his entire lifestyle, his luxury SUV, and his polished suburban image would completely collapse in less than 45 days. Mark earns a 6-figure income, yet he is effectively living paycheck to paycheck, completely trapped on a high-income hamster wheel. This is the quiet financial crisis that nobody talks about. It is not that high earners are irresponsible or reckless people. It is that they confuse high income with actual wealth. They mistake the speed of the money coming in with the distance they have actually traveled toward financial freedom. So today, we are going to run the real numbers. We are going to look at the exact net worth benchmark you should actually have at every single age, how to calculate your true standing using real data, and precisely what to do if you realize you are hundreds of thousands of dollars behind. This video is not designed to shame you or make you feel guilty about your spending. There is no lecture here telling you to eat beans and rice for the rest of your life, and there is no product pitch at the end of this. This is about one simple, powerful calculation that almost nobody takes the time to run for themselves. How much wealth should you actually own right now based on your age and income? Most high earners carry a vague, comforting feeling about their finances. They see a large paycheck hit their checking account every 2 weeks, so they assume they are probably fine. Or maybe they feel a slight background anxiety, but they never stop to check the actual math. The gap between a comfortable feeling and financial reality can be staggering. In the United States, the average household income for high earners making over $150,000 looks incredible on paper. Yet Federal Reserve data shows that over 30% of these high-earning households admit they would struggle to cover an unexpected $2,000 emergency without borrowing money or selling an asset. That single stat tells you almost everything you need to know about modern personal finance. A massive portion of high earners are running a high-speed engine with zero fuel in the emergency tank. They are earning high incomes, but those incomes are passing directly through their hands and flowing straight into the pockets of mortgage companies, car dealerships, and luxury retailers. They own almost nothing. Here is how the numbers actually work age by age, so you can find your exact baseline target and stop guessing once and for all. To know whether you are secretly falling behind, you first need a reliable benchmark. The most widely accepted framework for measuring expected net worth comes from the landmark Financial Research by Dr. Thomas Stanley. The core rule is simple, elegant, and directly ties your expected net worth to your age and your earning power. The formula works like this. Take your current age, multiply it by your pre-tax annual household income, and then divide that total number by 10. Let's walk through that step by step, so you can see how it applies across different decades of your life. If you are 30 years old and earning $70,000 a year, you multiply 30 by 70,000, which gives you 2.1 million. Divide that by 10, and your target expected net worth is $210,000. If you are 35 years old and earning $90,000 a year, your target net worth sits at $315,000. By age 40, if you have reached a high earning salary of $120,000 a year, your expected net worth target climbs to $480,000. By age 45, earning $140,000, your target reaches $630,000. By age 50, if you are earning $150,000 a year, your baseline target for expected net worth is $750,000. By age 55, at that same $150,000 income, your target climbs to $825,000. And by age 60, as you prepare to transition out of the workforce, an income of $150,000 yields a target expected net worth of $900,000. Now, take a moment to understand what net worth actually represents. Net worth is not just the balance in your checking account, and it is not the market value of your home. Net worth is everything you truly own, minus everything you owe to someone else. It includes your cash, your 401k balances, your individual brokerage accounts, your retirement funds, and the clear equity in your home, minus your mortgage debt, car loans, personal loans, and credit card balances. Hold those target numbers next to the reality of average high earners. At age 40, earning $150,000, Mark's benchmark target should be $600,000 in net worth. But as we saw, Mark's real net worth sits at just $12,000. That is a $588,000 gap between where Mark is and where his earning power says he should be. And just like John in our retirement scenarios, Mark is not a financial failure in his own mind. He feels like he is doing great because his income is high, his credit score is good, and he can afford the monthly payments on his lifestyle. But he is living with a $500,000 structural void in his long-term security. Let's translate that $588,000 gap into something you can actually feel in your day-to-day life. Missing nearly $600,000 in net worth at age 40 is not an abstract math problem. Using a standard conservative 4% safe withdrawal rule, $588,000 of invested net worth would produce roughly $23,500 of passive cash flow every single year, completely independent of your job. That is nearly $2,000 a month of continuous income that Mark will simply not have. The real cost of choosing lifestyle status over net worth is not just a missing line item on a spreadsheet. It is a permanent $2,000 a month pay cut in your future, forcing you to remain tethered to a high-stress career far longer than you ever planned. The gap is not abstract. It is the exact measure of how long you are forced to work because you chose to buy liabilities instead of buying your own freedom. So why is this high-income, low-net-worth gap so massive across the modern workforce? The primary driver is brutal, simple, and deeply psychological: Parkinson's law of money. Parkinson's law states that expenses will naturally rise to meet income unless you intentionally build a wall to stop it. When a professional earns $50,000 early in their career, they learn to live on $50,000. But when their salary increases to $100,000, they rarely keep their expenses at $50,000 and save the $50,000 difference. Instead, their brain recalibrates what is normal. The $100,000 income brings a nicer apartment, a higher car payment, premium gym memberships, frequent dining out, and higher fixed monthly overhead. Then, when they make the leap to $150,000, the exact same pattern repeats. The bigger paycheck brings the larger suburban house, the $60,000 SUV lease, private school tuition, and high-end vacations. They do not feel like they are spending recklessly. They feel like they are just living a normal life for someone in their position. But at the end of every single month, after servicing all those higher fixed overhead costs, there is nothing left over to build actual net worth. Saving money is not something you do with leftover income. Leftover income simply does not exist in a consumer culture designed to soak up every dollar you earn. The people who hit their net worth benchmarks are not necessarily making twice as much money as their peers. The difference is entirely in their system and their order of operations. Let's look at someone who built real net worth on a far smaller salary, because this proves that income is not the decisive factor. Meet David. David is also 40 years old, but he earns $80,000 a year as an administrator, nearly half of Mark's $150,000 corporate salary. David drives a paid-off, 8-year-old Japanese sedan. He lives in a modest, comfortable home that he bought well within his means, and he never felt the urge to upgrade his lifestyle every time he received a 3% annual raise. David executed one single habit differently from Mark starting on his very first day in the workforce. David paid himself first. The day his paycheck hit his bank account, 20% was automatically routed into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund and his workplace retirement match. The money vanished before he ever had a chance to see it, touch it, or budget with it. David happily lived on the remaining 80%. Today, at age 40, David has a clear, documented net worth of $450,000. Look at those two realities side by side. Mark earns $150,000 a year, carries $12,000 in true net worth, and has 45 days of financial runway before disaster hits. David earns $80,000 a year, holds $450,000 in net worth, and has roughly 6 to 8 years of complete financial runway if he never works another hour in his life. Same age, same economic environment, same 15 to 20 years in the workforce. A $438,000 difference in wealth created by someone making half the income. The gap between Mark and David was never about intelligence, luck, or salary level. It was purely about the order of operations. Mark spent first and tried to save what was left. David saved first and spent the rest. There is a powerful psychological trap at play here that keeps millions of high earners permanently broke, and it is known as the social proof dilemma. Our modern society is carefully constructed to display spending, while keeping net worth completely invisible. You can see Mark's $65,000 SUV parked in his driveway. You can see his designer clothes, his expensive watch, and the photos from his tropical resort vacations on social media. Everything about Mark's life broadcasts high income and success. What you cannot see is David's Vanguard brokerage account. You cannot see the paid-off equity in David's home, or the compounding low-cost index funds in his retirement accounts. We live in a culture that rewards the illusion of wealth while ignoring the quiet reality of actual ownership. Because humans are naturally social creatures who look to their peers for behavioral cues, high earners feel constant, subtle pressure to match the visible spending of their colleagues. If every other manager in Mark's office drives a luxury vehicle and lives in an upgraded home, Mark feels that maintaining that exact image is required just to belong. Admitting that you cannot afford that lifestyle on your $150,000 salary feels like an embarrassing step backward. So professionals double down on debt and leasing to keep up appearances. They trade their long-term financial independence for short-term social validation. To make matters worse, there is a hidden force silently eroding the net worth of high earners who think keeping cash in a standard savings account is safe. Inflation and asset velocity. When a high earner finally manages to accumulate $50,000 or $100,000 in cash, they often leave it sitting idle in a traditional commercial bank account earning less than 1% interest. They feel responsible because they saved the money, but against a real-world inflation rate of 3% to 5%, that idle cash is quietly losing purchasing power every single year. True net worth does not just mean holding cash. It means holding ownership in real, productive assets, businesses, real estate, and broad market equities that grow faster than the rate of currency devaluation. Cash under the mattress or sitting stagnant in a low-interest checking account feels safe in the short term, but over a 10 to 20-year horizon, it is a guaranteed slow-motion loss of wealth. Simply earning a high income and storing cash is not enough. You have to convert that active income into wealth-generating machines that outrun the inflation rate, pushing your baseline target higher every year. If you are watching this in your late 30s, 40s, or 50s and realizing that you are Mark, that you have a strong income but a dangerously low net worth, do not panic. High earners possess a massive structural advantage that most people do not have: surplus margin. Because your income is high, your ability to close a net worth gap is dramatically faster than someone earning a lower salary, provided you are willing to fix the underlying system. A high earner who gets serious about net worth can make progress in 5 years that might take a lower earner 2 decades to achieve. The first step to closing the gap is confronting the ostrich effect and running your real numbers today. Sit down with a clean spreadsheet and list every single asset you own at true market value: cash, retirement balances, brokerage accounts, and home equity. Then list every single liability: mortgage principal, car loan balances, student loans, credit card debt, and personal loans. Subtract your liabilities from your assets to find your ground zero net worth number. Next, run the expected net worth formula for your age and household income. Multiply your age by your annual pre-tax income and divide by 10. Subtract your current real net worth from that benchmark target. That number is your exact net worth gap. Once you see the exact dollar figure of your gap, the vague anxiety disappears. A giant, scary feeling transforms into a concrete, finite math problem that can be solved with a systematic plan. The second step is implementing the high earner net worth catch-up system. You do not close a $200,000 or $400,000 gap by relying on daily willpower or trying to cut out minor pleasures. You close it by restructuring your financial architecture using 3 distinct steps. First, institute a strict lifestyle lock. The single most effective tool for high earners behind on net worth is to cap their living expenses at their exact current level for the next 3 to 5 years. When you receive your next annual raise, performance bonus, or promotion, do not upgrade your vehicle, do not buy a bigger home, and do not increase your overhead. Take 80% to 90% of every new dollar coming into your household and route it directly into net worth building assets, paying off high interest liabilities or maxing out tax-advantaged accounts and index funds. Live on the remaining 10% to 20%. This allows you to enjoy a small portion of your success while aggressively channeling your high earning power into actual wealth accumulation. Second, capture every single tax-advantaged vehicle available to you. If you are over age 50, the tax code offers powerful catch-up contribution limits designed specifically for professionals who started late. Max out your 401k or 403b limits. Take full advantage of health savings accounts, HSAs, which offer a triple tax advantage, and utilize backdoor Roth IRAs if your income exceeds traditional limits. Every dollar you route through a tax-advantaged account is a dollar protected from high income tax brackets, allowing compounding to accelerate your net worth build without losing a massive chunk to tax drag. Third, automate your asset accumulation pipeline before you ever see your paycheck. Set up direct payroll deductions or automatic bank transfers that execute the very day your monthly income hits your account. Move 20% to 30% of your gross income straight into broad market index funds, low-cost ETFs, or principal reduction on high-interest debts. When you automate your wealth pipeline, discipline is no longer required. You eliminate the monthly decision of how much to save. The money vanishes into your net worth machinery silently in the background, and your household naturally adapts to living on the remaining cash flow. At the end of the day, building a high net worth was never about showing off a large number to impress other people. It is about buying back your own time, your autonomy, and your peace of mind. Income is the energy you expend today to trade your time for money. Net worth is the amount of time you have successfully bought back for your future self. Every dollar you redirect from a depreciating liability into a productive, compounding asset is like hiring a small, tireless employee who works for you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, sending yield back to your household, so that one day you no longer have to trade your precious energy for a paycheck. The ultimate goal of personal finance is not status, luxury cars, or suburban flexing. The ultimate goal is to build enough quiet, automatic, boring wealth that working at a job becomes a voluntary choice rather than a mandatory requirement for survival. So the next time you see a large paycheck hit your bank account or feel tempted to upgrade your lifestyle to match your income, stop and ask yourself one simple question. Is this dollar buying me temporary status, or is it buying my permanent freedom? Calculate your real number today. Run the math, build the automated system, and start turning your active income into lasting wealth right now.